Have you ever tried to do it perfect? I have to admit, I started this video, I'm going to say 3 times now, just because the lighting was weird, and then like I slurred on my first sentence, and it's kind of cool, but not cool when we redo it over and over and over again, trying to get it perfect. I know I did that when I first started making videos, and I was making a video for my website, and it literally took me a week to make one, I'd say 3 or 4 minute video. And it's amazing how we get very self-conscious. And, we're really our worst critic. Most people, not everybody, but most people give us the benefit of the doubt, the grace. It's like, okay, here's how she's expressing. That's cool. I resonate or I don't resonate, but kudos to her for, trying. And that's how I am with people. It's so beautiful because they say that we get back whatever we put out. That's not always true, but majority of the time, if we're gentle with others, they'll be gentle and kind with us. When we're gentle and kind with ourselves, we'll be gentle and kind with others. It's the same thing. It's kind of like we all do this dance together. But the idea, even saying like in Toastmasters, you got quote written up every time someone said but the is for me, it's a pause. It's like, okay, am I kind of on track here? Sometimes energy flows, and sometimes I do pause with an because there's something just kind of slowing down a little bit, and it's beautiful when that happens. And I mean, seriously, if I was in Toastmaster right now, I probably would have like 50 of those right now, and then I didn't qualify for the greatest speech or whatever. But I really don't care about being the greatest speech. I care about shining authentically. I care about sharing the message that I'm meant to share. I care about helping others in their healing. I care about, being true to myself, but also allowing others to be true to themselves and really appreciating that. And that to me is what a beautiful connection is. We want to be able to connect with people, but are we able to when we're in judgment? Are we able to when we're in fear? Are we able to when we're blocking the flow and looking at the little minute things that somebody might be doing wrong or not to our standards, instead of embracing like the bigger picture, right? Or instead of embracing the greatness that we see in others, the beauty that we see in others, the love that we see, that we share with others. Kudos to everybody who tries, because we're at the beginning, we're working through it. It does get easier after a while, but at the beginning, it's like we're working through the kinks, just like with anything. And even pro basketball players, they're still perfecting their game. They're still perfecting their technique. And I do my my own healing sessions daily, and I channel spiritual energy daily, and it's such a beautiful thing. Spiritual energy, whatever people want to call it. This is what I call it. I call it when I'm open and I'm just flowing with the energy. I call that spiritual energy, because what the information that I receive is not from my logical thinking. So I say it's open to something greater than what I've even known, and greater than things that even people have taught me here. And it's so beautiful, because when we're caught in perfection, we're caught in trying to do it a certain way, and we're not really open. But what's a certain way? It's according to other people's standards, right? So other people's standards is not our authentic expression. Our authentic expression comes from our heart, from our soul, from opening, quote, to our higher selves or whatever, which is probably just a greater part of you and me that's not conditioned by society. And it's so beautiful when we get to this space. And it's a process, it's taken me, I want to say, a couple of years of just kind of being open and receptive to greater energies, and not trying to control my creativity, and not trying to, like, if I'm making a video, if I tell myself I have to make a video, it gets blocked, right? So what I do is when I get an inspiring thought, I go with it. I open my computer and I just start talking. Same thing with my writings. Whenever I'm on Facebook and I just get an inspiring thought and I just flow with it, and it's amazing how the energy flows. My poetry is the same thing with my spirit writings, which is a unique process that I do. It's the same thing. If I'm forcing myself, I'm too much in my conscious thinking, and that happens to a lot of people. nobody has writer's block. Nobody has creativity blocks. Nobody has any of those blocks because that's natural for us. It's only blocked when we think too much, when we filter our perceptions and points of views based on unresolved issues that we're carrying inside of me and you. Things that happened along the way. Maybe we were criticized at a young age for writing, so now every time we write, that criticism comes up and it creates a block and we don't go any further. Or we may be afraid of putting our writings out there, so when we're writing and we're thinking about putting it out there, then we get writer's block. If we're just writing because we love to write, if we're writing with the intention that we want to help others, if we're writing, it's not so self-absorbed. When we're self-absorbed, I say too much self-awareness, too much self-consciousness could actually make us go crazy. Part of the way that I healed from anorexia, depression, and anxiety was I started volunteering places. I started getting outside of myself. I started being of service. And, it helped me a lot. And I invite you, if you're struggling with any of those things, to do that. Because it's really, there's something about that just kind of opens us, right? It's not like, oh, if I do it wrong, because you're just volunteering, right? So unless you're volunteering for an organization that tells you you're wrong with what you do, because I've done that. I've been in those organizations before. But the same token, it's like, well, I'm here to serve, and that's it. And imagine living your life that way. I'm just here to serve. So the self-consciousness starts to fall away because I'm making this video because I care about you. I want to see you honoring the greatness in you. And if you want that, so many times I want to see you, but if you want that for you, I can only say because that it's night and day for me. I mean, I lived in such a dark, lonely, desperate place that I was just not connected to the world, and I was so unhappy because of that, and I felt lonely, and I thought nobody liked me, and and it's not a fun way to be. For some people they like it because it's a protective mechanism. They don't have to interact with other beings because inner beings may mirror back to them things that they don't want to see, and things like that. And it's taken me a while to be comfortable in the world. It's because I'm more comfortable in my body. I'm more comfortable with myself. I'm less critical of myself. Every once in a while, I get that judging, critical voice, and it's amazing because I feel it in my body. It's not just in my mind thinking now. It's like if I have any judgment against myself, I start to feel really bad. And then I imagine it's my inner child just saying, stop criticizing me, just hold me, just love me. I'm just being me. Can't you just love me? And that's what I get a sense of, especially when I start comparing myself to others, and how they're doing according to physical appearance, because physical appearance doesn't mean anything. It's just physical appearance. There's so many people who are very successful in their business. There's so many people who have tons of money. There's so many people who are in relationships, but underneath that, they're not fulfilled. They're not happy. They're still striving and trying to achieve something out here in order to be happy. And it's never enough. It's never enough. And they have this core belief it's never enough. And there's people that, just go about their day and their daily living and are, being a mother to their children and working maybe as a cashier at a supermarket, and they're happy, they're at peace, and they're really enjoying their life journey. So, once I actually started seeing clients who had all this stuff out here and weren't happy inside, I started to understand it doesn't matter how much we make. Once I had the ability to buy myself anything that I wanted, and it didn't matter because it's like none of that made me happy. It's like I realized that that's not where the happiness is. The happiness is when we feel safe in our bodies. The happiness is when we've made peace with those parts that have been hurting for so many years, and we no longer deny it or get mad at ourselves when we're feeling bad or sad or angry, that we invite that part of us into loving. We want to get to intimate with all parts of our being. That's how we become whole. We're unhappy because we're fragmented. One part wants this and another part wants this, and we're at war inside. And it's like there's this constant battle, and we'll wear ourselves out. We get tired and fatigued, and we're unhappy, and we don't know why. The why is because we have an inner conflict inside. We want those parts that, that part that may be sad and angry. We want sad and angry to be acknowledged. Those parts that even may happy and jumpy, we want to embrace those parts too. It's like they all come together inside, and we allow the whole range of our emotions to be embraced with love, with tender, loving care. A lot of us didn't get that as little beings, and maybe we don't even know how to do that for ourselves. And this is a process. This is a process of compassion. This is a process of healing that shame that we experienced when we were little beings, maybe because we were crying and we were told not to cry. So anytime we cry, we start to feel shame. So we immediately suppress that part of us, and that's just our inner child saying, hey, you know what? I need to cry right now. I'm upset. I'm sad. Can you just hold me? Can you just love me? That's how we heal the shame. That's how we hear the shame of being told we're wrong, we're bad, we're stupid, we're fat, we're ugly, all these things according to the fears of whoever put those on us. Because none of those are true. Everything's perception. And when we realize that everything's perception, we can heal the inner debation about trying to do it perfect. Because I could say this video is perfect because it just is. Or I can look for things about it, and say, oh, that was wrong. You shouldn't have said that, and go back and pick apart every part. And that's okay. If I want to take something out because it's not something that I want going out into the world, that's okay. And it's okay to want to, like I said, make it good if we're putting it out into the world. But there's a difference between wanting to make it good and wanting to make it perfect, meaning so my hands are kind of doing this. So, when I edit the video, it's like, oh, I didn't like my hands, got to do it over. Or I didn't like the way my hair looked, got to do it over. Or I didn't like the lighting, which I did at the beginning to start 3 times. And, it's so much more, I want to say we experience more ease internally when we make peace with all parts of our being. And that's the way we heal anxiety. That's the way we heal depression. That's the way we heal, addictions and things like that. Underneath all of that is there's this inner conflict going on inside. We've so disconnected from ourselves. We don't even know who we are. We don't know how to be with ourselves in loving ways. And we're looking for relief in people, places, things, and situations out there. But none of that, that's all symptom relief. That's never gonna help us feel centered in who we be. That's never gonna help us feel at ease internally. All of that, what helps us feel at ease internally is allowing ourselves to experience whatever we're experiencing. It's learning how to be with ourselves in loving ways. It's having compassion for ourselves when we, quote, made a mistake and we're doing the best we can with what we know. It's giving ourselves grace. And I invite you to do that today. I invite you to give yourself grace. I invite you to honor yourself and however you're feeling. I invite you to, be with those parts of you that you have neglected or denied or disowned because others people said you were wrong or bad for doing that. A lot of people talk about shadow work and they're afraid of facing their shadows. But inner shadows are just disowned parts of us. Inner shadows are just parts of us that weren't accepted by our families and society. Now, it's not only the, quote, negative things, the hard feelings to face and the hard ways of being. And the inner shadows is also our greatest qualities, our gifts, our talents, our abilities, things that make us truly happy. So when we start to go into our shadows, when we start to embrace those parts of us that haven't been accepted, we'll start to see more of our authenticity. We'll start to see more of our creativity. We'll start to see things that we've never even seen before because it's been clouded by all these ways we've tried to suppress that part of us. And I invite you today just to start with one thing that you haven't really appreciated about yourself and find something to approve about that quality. For me, I was called sensitive, and I really hated that part of me. Oh, you're too sensitive, because I heard that my whole life. So I see it as being a good thing. Being sensitive, I can sense into people's energy. I can have, feel compassion for somebody who's hurting that's not even aware that they're hurting. I can be with my client and really understand what's going on inside more than what they're saying. I can understand what they're really conveying. For me, I'm sensitive in my feelings, so I know the first sign when I'm upset, I can stop and I can be with myself and I hold myself in the loving. You know, there's so many beautiful things about the qualities that we were told were wrong or bad about us. So I invite you today, if you have time, to find one thing about yourself that you haven't liked, and find a positive reason why you can like that part of you. Even being angry, that's an emotion that a lot of people say it shouldn't be happening, right? Oh, that wasn't me. That was, I don't know why I got angry. Well, there's a reason why you got angry. The thing is, learning how to respond to our emotions rather than react to them helps us to really be at peace with whatever we're feeling. If we're angry, maybe someone crossed our boundaries and we need to speak up in a situation. Maybe we crossed our own boundaries and we weren't even aware of it. Maybe the anger is telling us that we're doing something that we don't really want to do, but we're doing it anyway. There's so many great things about our emotions when we stop labeling them good or bad, and we allow them to be, and allow them to express, help us to understand what's actually going on internally, because that's what our emotions are for, right? They're our guidance system. The problem is some of our emotions are attached to our traumas, hurts, and wounds. So if they're our guidance system, sometimes we'll I can't do that because I feel like I can, or I want to protect myself, where that may bring up hurt. So that's not really our guidance, but we want to understand where that hurt's coming from. So in a sense, it's our guidance not to take action. It's our sense or guidance to go within and understand what that feeling is conveying for us. So I hope this video inspired you in 5, 10, 15, 20 ways or another. Feel free to reach out for support if you would like support on your journey. I know you could do this if you choose. I believe in you and I love you.